Let's talk about feeling burned out as a software developer. Choosing software development as a career path is amazing because you are working on the apps that have the potential to reach out to billions of users and change the world. But like everything else, software development has some drawbacks as well. And one of those drawbacks is you will feel burned out from time to time as a software developer in your career. Throughout your career as a software developer, there will be times when you will feel like giving up, when you will feel like you don't want to code anymore or you're never good enough. And as people say, technology is always changing, and you being the software developer, it's your job to make sure you're always up to date with those technological trends in order to stay relevant in the field. And that thought that you'll always have to keep learning new things to stay relevant in the field will haunt you from time to time. I have been a software developer for about 5 years, and still I do feel burned out from time to time and feel like giving up. And here are the few things that help me to stay motivated as a software developer and to avoid burnouts as much as possible. Number one on the list is project-based learning. As a software developer, you have to keep learning new tools and skills, and we all know that. But you don't want to be that software developer who learns a new tool or a skill just for the sake of learning it. You want to make sure that whatever you are learning has a practical use. Because let's say you learn a new tool or a skill and you do not put it to practical use, over time you'll eventually forget it. Remember, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is a potential power. Project-based learning is a mindset. It's hard to adapt at first because you feel that rush to learn a new framework or a library or a tool. But trust me, once you adapt to that mindset, you will only learn things that are relevant at that point in your career. And that will help you avoid burnouts because you're not killing yourself to learn a new skills that you're never going to use. You're only learning things that are relevant at that point in your career. Let's move on to number two. Number two on the list is consistency will always beat intensity in the long run. And it is true not just for software development, for a bunch of other things in your life. For example, working out, learning a new instrument, and many others. Consistency creates a compound effect. So you might not see the results initially, but if you stay consistent with whatever you're doing long enough, you will eventually reach there and see the results. For example, I recently started preparing for an interview to get a job at a fan company. So I went completely nuts. I started solving algorithmic and data structures problem for like 3 hours a day. I did that for a week and a half, and then I completely gave up because that's not possible for someone who is working full-time as a software developer. So now the approach that I follow is I practice algorithmic and data structures problem 45 minutes a day. And initially when I started doing that, I was not seeing results, but eventually I've been doing it for about a month and a half now, and I see how my logic of solving the problems and my time to solve those problems is improving. And solving those problems for 45 minutes a day is a lot more realistic for someone like me who is working full-time as a software developer. So I've been able to stick with that for about a month and a half now. Now, do not get me wrong, I'm not against intensity. You can pull an all-nighter once a while to, let's say you're excited about a project, you want to finish it, or there is a skill that you're learning that is needed for the job. But over the long run, intensity will not work because you will eventually feel burned out if you follow this path. Whereas, if you follow the path of being consistent with whatever that you're learning, let's say you decide to learn AWS, you put in 1 hour every day towards learning AWS, and over the long run you will eventually get there. And here's a really good part, you will not feel burned out because you're not killing yourself to learn a new skill or a tool. You're putting in that consistent effort slowly day by day towards something. And remember, slow and steady wins the race. Let's move on to the next one. Number 3 on the list is imposter syndrome. If you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it basically means you always doubt yourself. You always think you're not good enough for the job that you're doing and you don't deserve it. For a better example, if you ask yourself any of these questions, then you might be suffering from imposter syndrome. I myself struggle with imposter syndrome from time to time. But then when that happens, I have to take a pause and remind myself that whatever I have achieved is because I've worked for it and I deserve it. And along with that, here are a few other things that have helped me with imposter syndrome. Number 1 on the list is writing things down. So let's say you're working on a project. Once you finish that project, make sure you write down all the things that you have achieved in this project or a new skill or that you learned during this project. Because eventually what you can do is when that feeling comes of like doubting yourself and thinking that you're not good enough, you can simply go back to wherever you're writing things down and read through to see what you have done in the past and how you contributed to those certain projects. I personally do not write things down. I prefer more like an online version of it. So whatever projects I've worked on, I'll usually put it on my portfolio and then just go to my portfolio to see through the projects that I've worked on. Or a lot of people that I've worked with, they wrote me recommendations on LinkedIn, so I usually just also go through those recommendations. So doing these things help me a lot overcome that imposter syndrome. Number 2 on the list is know that you are not alone. A survey done by Team Blind shows that 58% of tech workers feel like imposters, and knowing that you are not alone in this, and maybe you can talk to someone else, because there are good chances that some other developer that you are working with has also the same issue. So talking to someone helps a lot as well, and knowing that you're not alone in this can be a great relief on its own. And number 3 on the list is get used to feeling uncomfortable from time to time. As a software developer, you have to keep learning new things, but you do not want to get overwhelmed by the things. Instead, change your mindset and start getting excited about all the new things that you can learn, because you're in the field in which you will never feel bored. There will always be something new to learn, something new to build. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by amount of stuff you have to learn, feel excited about it, because you'll never feel bored in your life. That's pretty much it for number 3. Let's move on to number 4 now. Number 4 on the list is have something else other than programming that you look forward to. For example, it can be rock climbing, hiking, martial arts, just playing games on PlayStation. Because what it'll do is it'll give your brain a break from just solving those algorithmic problems or like coding problems. And then after doing that, whatever thing that you pick, after doing that, when you come back to coding, you will feel a lot more refreshed and you will come up with the new ideas to solve those coding problems. And this has helped me a lot to avoid burnouts and staying motivated as a developer. That's pretty much it. This is how I avoid burnouts and stay motivated as a software developer. If you guys find any value in this video, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.